Chime, chime, chime. Good morning and happy Thanksgiving weekend. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Edmonton. My name is Yvonne Mireau. My pronouns are she and her, and I will be your service leader this morning. I'll be joined by our minister, Reverend Rosemary Morrison, and we really hope you feel welcome here. The Unitarian Church of Edmonton is a liberal, religious, multi-generational community. We are dedicated to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace a pluralist philosophy instead of a creed. Opening our hearts and our minds to the diverse ideas, feelings, and expressions of our world community. Whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, however you identify, you are welcome here today. We have an announcement from Rosemary. And one from Maria.
Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I'm so glad to see all of you out today here in person and online with us. I have a couple of announcements. If you're online, there's going to be a part of the service where people are going to write down some of their thoughts. So now might be a good time to find a piece of paper and pen so that you can join with us. So there are little leaves on your chairs. And so during the service at a particular time, and I'll let you know when it is, we'll be writing on those with a prompt and hanging them on the twinkle tree over here in the corner. And Maria and I are going to talk a little bit about the same thing. Next week is Reverend Ann Barker, the Transitional Executive Director of the Canadian Unitarian Council, will be here delivering the service. Her and I will be delivering the service together, but she's going to preach. And she's got a sermon that is called When Spaghetti Meets Spirit. And so we're going to have a potluck afterward. And so as you think about what you're going to bring for the potluck, maybe bring a little extra, because not only her, but several of the ministers, board and staff will probably be joining us next week. And they won't be bringing a potluck item. So we're going to feed them and show them what an amazing bunch of potluck producers we are. And did you still want to talk about the potluck? Okay.
Good morning, my name is Maria Oderkirk. My pronouns are she and her. And just one final note about the potluck. I noticed this morning that our setup crew is completely filled, which I appreciate. If anyone else is willing to stay till the bitter end and help with cleanup, though, we could still use a couple more hands. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Andrew, he, him. There are positions available on our tech team. We would like people who would like to come and help us up in the tech booth on Sundays. We need people to operate the cameras, and we need people who are pretty computer savvy if they can come and be producers. We also have people that can help with sound. So if you're interested in that, please contact me after the service. We would like to get a few more fresh people in to help us out with the tech team. Thank you.
Let me take a moment to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 land, the ancestral territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, and Métis people. We thank the Indigenous knowledge keepers of this area, this center of Edmonton, where it was a traditional gathering place for many nations. And we thank the Indigenous knowledge keepers of this area for teaching their people how to live sustainably on the land, in harmony with it, and with respect for all of creation. We acknowledge that during colonial rule, this opportunity was taken away from Indigenous peoples, and now they call out to us to respond in acts of reconciliation, to listen to their voice of knowledge of how to live in harmony with respect for the earth. And now we will have a prelude. Oh, by the way, everybody, silence your devices. Thanks, Karen. That even had a fall feel to it. I would like to invite one of our newer members, Beth Stornham, to come and light our chalice today. Beth is a very busy new member in our church, usher, greeter, and outside of here, she's also the president of her local chapter of the Kiwanis Club, and we are so pleased to have her. Come into this circle of community. Come into this sacred space. Be not tentative. Bring your whole self. Bring the joy that makes your heart sing. Bring your kindness and your compassion. Bring also your sorrow, your pain. Bring your brokenness and your disappointments. Spirit of love and mystery, help us to recognize the spark of the divine that resides within each of us. May we know the joy of wholeness. May we know the joy of being together. Thank you, Beth. And now it's time for a hymn. 349, we gather together. The words will come up on the screen behind me. They are there already. Please rise. Our community is entirely self-governing and self-supporting. One of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all the financial support for our many ministries from among ourselves. Generosity, therefore, is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and institutional well-being. In addition to supporting this church community, we also make a monthly commitment beyond our walls. 1/2 of the unidentified cash that is received is given to an outside organization. Some are local, some national, some international. For the month of October, we are sharing our abundance with Camp Firefly. Camp Firefly is a place where youth who are looking at their gender identities and their sexual identities to gather in a safe place. And we are so fortunate to have this organization in our community. As the offering is being collected, I'm going to shut up. From you I Boy, I really do all the talking at the beginning, don't I? Yeah. I've always had the belief that there are more good and kind people in the world than there are nasty ones. More good than evil. Perhaps it's my temperament or related to my voracious reading from a young age. Research shows that readers develop empathy for others in the process of reading. Or I've just been lucky. I prefer to think that I look for confirmation bias of this belief and find it because it's actually true. Yet, I'm also aware that many good people throughout history have stood by and allowed horrors to happen. I've realized that it's not enough to just think goodness. I also have to show goodness, manifest it in my daily actions. Part of how I do this is by practicing small acts of kindness daily. When I walk in my neighborhood, I try to really see people, to look at them with loving kindness, curiosity, to smile and say hello. There are so many lonely people. For some people, it may be the only contact that makes them feel seen all day. You think? Oh. I'll engage in brief conversations with people in the parks. Having a cute dog is a great icebreaker, and I try to help in some situations. I once spent hours looking for a 5-year-old lost autistic child in the neighborhood, and one person said that they'd never even thought about doing that, while others thanked me for looking when I stopped to describe the boy. It had never occurred to me not to look for him. I'd actually seen him from a distance, leaving the playground alone, and was immediately alarmed that no adult was with him. It all ended well when a McDonald's employee returned him to his parents. That child had crossed a very busy intersection alone on his mission to get to McDonald's. I'm so glad that I didn't just go numb and leave it to someone else, like the police, to search the area. It would have been so easy to say it wasn't my job. I tell you this not to toot my own horn, but to illustrate a practice of compassion. I still have far to go to act on my beliefs, my beliefs that we need to look after each other, that we are each responsible for those with whom we share the world, especially the vulnerable. As Ram Dass said, we are all just walking each other home. We've heard over the past few weeks about compassion requiring action, about how we are all vulnerable to going numb in the crazy world in which we live. We are bombarded with messages that promote an isolating individualism and self-interest. It's easy to forget that we are still part of the whole interconnected web of life. So how, as UUs, can we resist these insidious messages? How do we demonstrate or practice compassion? What does intentional kindness and compassion look like in our everyday lives? I like the word practice because it allows that we are in a continual learning process, but also because it's the word used by many practitioners of Buddhism and mindfulness who believe that by practicing mindfulness, we can create intentional compassion because it keeps us awake to what is happening in the present and to our shared humanity. Pema Chodron writes that the common human experience of pain and sadness, what she calls the broken heart of sadness, contains a tenderness that can teach us great compassion, and that this is shared by all of humanity. It awakens us when we prefer to sleep, she says, and pierces through our indifference. One of the tools of mindfulness is mindful breathing, which we practice here during our meditation. It brings us into the present moment. Thich Nhat Hanh, another Buddhist monk, says, when you are living mindfully, you know what is happening in your situation in the present moment. Thus, it is easy to notice when another person is suffering. Being aware of what is happening in our thoughts allows us to make choices about how to perceive and how we choose to react. There are lots of other tools that can bring us consciousness and awareness as well, including gratitude practice, one of my favorites, and perfect for this weekend. In gratitude practice, I start out by saying the most mundane things that I'm thankful for. And then as I listen to myself, I actually become very grateful for those things. And at the end of my short practice, I feel like the luckiest person in the world. What are some of your regular practices? And how do they ground you in living our UU principles? It's a good question for coffee hour. I'll close with a brief story. About 3 weeks ago, as I was walking at my usual very brisk pace, I tripped on some uneven pavement, got airborne, and landed on my head. As I was laying there, wondering what happened, I heard a voice. Don't try to get up. I have first aid training. His name was Wesley, and he took control of the situation, assessing me, helping me to sit up, and then to stand. Another woman handed me some Kleenex, saying I was bleeding, and also stayed and picked up my glasses, which were smashed. Eventually, Wesley took my hand. Because my glasses were smashed and I'm quite blind without them, he needed to do this. And since I was close to home, he said he would walk me home and stay until another adult came. He insisted that I get checked out at a hospital. And he waited with me until one of my neighbors, also a former nurse, came to sit with me until someone came to take me to hospital. She said that he gave her an excellent handover report of my condition, worthy of any medical professional. It turned out that I had a concussion, as well as a huge bruise on my face. Most of it's gone. I'm still wearing the colors, though. I am filled with gratitude that this young man acted on his compassion when I was so vulnerable. And it reinforced my aspiration to stay awake and help those in need. Ram Dass really said it so simply, and Wesley indeed walked me home that day. Now we will sing hymn 346. Come and sing a song with me.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for being here on this Thanksgiving weekend. It's a long weekend. I'm sure you had lots of choices about what to do for your long weekend, and I'd like to thank you for making this your choice this morning. I don't think I introduced myself earlier when I did my announcement. My name is Reverend Rosemary Morrison, and it's my pleasure and honor to serve this congregation, and my pronouns are she and her. And before I get going on the meditation, I just wanted to bring to people's mind that today is National Coming Out Day. And I haven't got it in any of the service. I kind of pondered upon it or tripped upon it yesterday, and I've got big blocks on Facebook, so I'm just not finding out the things that I used to find out early. So, which has been very good for me, by the way. It's really good to be reducing my social media intake. It was getting a little out of control. I encourage you to use app block if you are having trouble like I was. Any of them, there's a whole bunch. And I want to break the fourth wall and speak to Andrew. I have me wandering around all over the place this morning, but since you are You're short a camera person. Would you like me to just stay here? Oh, okay. I'll do the message from her here instead of wandering about over there. You're welcome. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so let's dig in a little bit. Let's center ourselves and take a couple of deep, long breaths. I don't know about you, but I sure need to do that. Oh, let it go. Let the stress and the worry and the strain of the week, those things that have been niggling in your brain and in your heart, let them go. Just for a moment, for this time of being together, to rest, to renew, to reflect, to take some precious time out of our busy schedules and look after us, ourselves. For sometimes it is so important just to be together and to rest. Invite you to take a couple of deep breaths. Follow the breath as it goes through your body. Imagine all of those oxygen cells feeding your lungs and your body, and then we breathe out and let go of everything that we don't need. And then the plants use it. I'm going to offer a moment of silence, and then I'm going to read a poem, Buddha's Dogs, by Susan Brown. So let's just enjoy a moment of silence. I'm at a day-long meditation retreat, 8 hours of watching my mind with my mind, and I already fell asleep twice and nearly fell out of my chair, and it's not even noon yet. In the morning lesson, I learned to count my thoughts, 10 in 1 minute, and the longest thought was to leave and go to San Anselmo and shop, then find an outdoor cafe and order a glass of white wine, smoked trout with roasted potatoes and baby carrots and a bowl of gazpacho. But I stayed and learned to name my thoughts. So far, they are wanting, 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 judgment, sadness. Don't identify with your thoughts, the teacher says. You are not your personality, nor your ego identification. Then he bangs the gong for lunch. Whoever, whatever I am, is given instruction in the walking meditation and the eating meditation and walks outside with the other meditators, and we wobble across the lake like the night of the living dead. I meditate slowly, falling over a few times because I kept my foot in the air too long, towards a bench, sit slowly down and slowly eat my sandwich. Told to notice the sandwich, I note sourdough, noticing the taste. Tuna, sourdough, noticing the smell. Sourdough, tuna. Thanking the sourdough, the tuna, the ocean, the boat, the fisher person, the field, the grain, the farmer, the saran wrap that kept this food fresh for this body made of food and desire, and the hope of getting through the rest of this day without dying of boredom. Sun, then cloud, then sun. I notice a maple leaf on my sandwich. Seems awfully large. Slowly brushing it away, I feel so sad I can hardly stand it. So I name my thoughts. They are sadness about my mother, judgment about my father, wanting the child I never had. I notice I've been chasing the same thoughts like dogs around the same park most of my life. Notice the leaf tumbling gold to the grass, the gong sounds, and back in the hall. I decide to try lying down meditation and let myself sleep. The Buddha in my dream is me, surrounded by dogs wagging their tails, licking my hands. I wake up for the forgiveness meditation. The teacher saying, never put anyone out of your heart. And the heart opens and knows it won't last and will have to open again and again and again, chasing those dogs around and around in the sun, then cloud, then sun. And now silence, as our brains have thoughts. And now let us let those thoughts go. As we move into a time where we celebrate our lives with the lighting of candles, of showing how we are real people with real thoughts, with wanting, with judgment, with sadness, with joy. And we light a candle. I invite you to go ahead and light candles of joy and concern. And I know that we are all holding Audrey, Reverend Audrey Brooks, in our hearts. And if you don't know Audrey, she's a matriarch of this congregation, and she is in Sturgeon Hospital, and she's been. Lots of good friends are visiting with her, but I imagine she'll be in a hospital for a little bit. So light your candles for your things, and at the end I'll ask Yvonne to light 2 candles, one for Audrey and one for the joys and concerns we continue to hold in our hearts. The tables are ready. I invite you to light candles of joy and concern. As we complete the last candles, Yvonne will light 2 candles, one for Audrey and the other for all the joys and concerns that you hold in your hearts, that perhaps are niggling in your brain, or one of those wayward thoughts in what I call my monkey brain. Maybe you have one of those too, not sure. Thank you, Yvonne. And in a moment, when we are finished with the candles, we will have a video. I have showed this video here before. It's by Empty Hands Music, Nemo, and I love it a lot, and it's about gratitude. So it's very fitting for today being Thanksgiving Day. And again, we have permission from him to show this film, but we're going to keep the recording off because it goes through YouTube and they get excited about things like that. So in a moment that will come up on the screen, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. I've probably watched it 100 times, so do you mind if we get those lights off, please, John? Thank you. Thank you. When it seems like we should appreciate it. So, does everybody have a leaf that I was going to bring up and go like this with? And and a pen? As pencils don't work on that finish on those leaves, you need a pen. I'm noticing I tried all different kinds of pens on them, and I noticed that roller pens work the best. So thank you, Brandy. That everybody should have a leaf, and there's lots of extra leaves. There's like lots. We'll have enough for next Thanksgiving as well. So if you want to do 2 or 3, that's fine. This twinkle tree can hold a lot of leaves, and the more that we put on it, the more beautiful it will be. So right now we're going to think about, I'll give you some instructions about what to write on your leaf. I'm going in and out, aren't I? No? No? Okay. And so this is a time also to, if you've brought a non-perishable item for the food bank, you can put it on these 2 tables over here. So there's 3 things to do after we do our writing on our leaves. You can bring up the non-perishable items, hang your leaf on the twinkle tree, and as you're doing all of that, I encourage you to look one another in the eyes and greet each other and say hello and happy Thanksgiving in whatever fashion that you so desire. So, all right, here's your instruction. You heard on this video that you are a blessing. And you can use that word or any other word that you choose. You are a great help. You are a great comfort. You inspire people. You make food for people. You show up. There's so many ways that we are a blessing to other people. Some people don't like that word, but if you think about it as things that may be putting good energy out into the world and visiting a neighbor or a sick friend in the hospital, those things are blessings to one another, could be considered blessings to one another. I want you to think for a moment, how are you a blessing to others? And that's what I'd like you to write on your leaf and hang on the twinkle tree. And you can also do the traditional, I'm thankful for whatever, on a second instead, or on a second leaf, and hang it. If you don't see a second leaf around you on the chairs, there's a whole bunch at the back wall if you'd like another leaf or 2 to write some of your thoughts down. So I'll give you a couple of moments, and these, just a word a phrase, there isn't a whole lot of room. So I invite you to just go ahead and do that now. And for the folks at home, I invite you to do the same with the paper and pen that you found earlier. And if you choose, it might be nice for you to put those things into the chat. Ways that you believe that you are a blessing. Ways that you have helped people and be of service to others. And then maybe share that with one another online. Comment on each other's as well. That makes it fun. We'll just give a minute or two for that. And then we will head into the reading. But mill around as soon as you've got your leaf written, and hang it up and bring your non-perishable items and greet one another. You've got 3 tasks all at the same time. So go ahead and talk to one another. Thank you. Just give you another moment more, and then we'll move into the rest of the service. What? You ready? I'm going to ask you to take your seats and we'll get going. I just looked at the clock and went, oh. Okay. I'm going to read excerpts from the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tse, translation by Stephen Mitchell. The Tao Te Ching is a Chinese classic text and foundational work of Taoism, traditionally credited to the sage Lao Tse. Although this is Wikipedia says, the text's authorship and date of composition and compilation are debated. The oldest excavated portion dates back to the late 4th century before Common Era. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and not being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore, the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them go. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That's why it lasts forever. The Tao doesn't take sides. The Tao is like a well, used, but never used up. It's like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden, but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it, but it's older than God. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center whole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. Do you have a slide? Anybody remember the skit from WKRP in Cincinnati where there it is. I've watched it so many times. And so it's from a sitcom called WKRP in Cincinnati. It aired from 1978 to 1982. It is based on a fictional and struggling radio station in Cincinnati, Ohio. To increase their ratings one Thanksgiving, and you have to remember this would have been American Thanksgiving or US Thanksgiving, so late in November, they decided to do a turkey drop. The station manager really didn't understand the concept, Arthur Carlson. So he took the saying literally and rented a helicopter and dropped turkeys from it as a way to be festive and raise awareness for their station. They were going to give away the turkeys, right? Les Nessman, the hapless station news reporter, was on site at the local grocery store and was overcome with the sight of the tragic experiment, along with the outrage of the people in the parking lots. When they all got back to the radio station, a very rattled Arthur Carlson spoke those words, "As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly." I have used that iconic line to put a funny title to this sermon, "When Turkeys Fly," message, whatever you want to call it, homily. If we were to take Lao Tse's advice, Carlson would have been better with not doing than doing, because what he did was a disaster. Today is Thanksgiving Sunday, and I want to talk about how important being grateful is. My attempt this morning is to have us think about how gratitude and compassion live together, and how it is these components, plus many others, that let us do the impossible, helping things happen that didn't seem possible at the beginning. I have always used the Tao, which is actually a leadership manual for that time. In the 4th century, it was written for leaders. I have always used the Tao to help me think through leadership decisions. His idea of being and not being, doing and not doing, has always held me in great stead. It's not the thing, but what it is used for that really matters. In my previous congregation, I used the imagery that he produced about that spoke, that wheel, with the spokes coming out of the hub of the wheel. And it is the hub that is the driving force, isn't it? That's where the power is that makes the wheel go around, and as he says, to make the wagon go. In that congregation, they wished the wheel, the hub of the wheel, to be the minister. I found when I first arrived that I actually did need to take on that role. It's pretty normal for a new ministry starting, especially. And I kind of felt like I needed to do that here, especially because we were right at the end of COVID, weren't we? And it was like we were starting over. COVID was pretty devastating, not to just this congregation, but for many. Through our work together, though, What maybe some of us thought was impossible has actually happened. Turkeys are indeed flying, as they say. I now go into meetings where things are happening that I didn't do. I'm not the one with the ideas inside those vessels. It is the folks here that are coming up with the great ideas and carrying them forward. On this Thanksgiving Sunday, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you. Let's start with you who have shown up and who show up week after week. Seeing your face come through the door time and time again, or for the first time, gives me hope and encouragement. Thank you for being here in person and online. Thank you. To those of you who are new and newish, thanks for giving us a shot. Every service is different, so come a few times before you decide if it's a good fit. If there is anything we can do to help you, please seek out someone to ask your question, and let me know directly if you need my help. I'll do my best, or I'll find someone that can help you better. I want to thank the folks that are on the committees and the teams doing the work, driving the work, the hub at the center of that wheel that Lao Tse talks about. I am so excited to sit in on meetings and see the sparks and the progress being made. And to the folks that put on these Sunday services, I believe that we have a great team and we have a great product. One of my colleagues says, all of us needs all of us to make it. So to the tech team, to the musicians, to setting up, thank you, Yvonne, to the service leader. And let's give a special thanks to Yvonne for coming here with a concussion after a bad accident and a surgery on her finger. She had to type with probably 9 fingers or less, and not 10. Thank you, Yvonne. And she had to move furniture, sorry. Probably use a couple people to help on Sunday morning set up the sanctuary. This is not a solitary endeavor, this putting on these Sunday services and putting on a community like this. All of the different parts that happen, there are so many people that do so many things to make these services run. And I am especially grateful to Janet Polkowski, our office administrator. She and I have been feeling so energized by the wonderful things going on, the great ideas that are being floated, and the collaborative work in which she and I are in the collaborative way she and I are working. I believe we've been hard at building that vessel that can hold us all in love and compassion. Do you remember me talking about Janet Gear, a professor of mine at Vancouver School of Theology, and she would do this with her hands. First you go deep, and then you go wide. I've probably done it 1,000 times here. Well, she also used to do this thing a lot, and she would like put her hands like this, and she would say, you know, when you have that vessel that Lao Tse is talking about and what we are all creating together, when you have that vessel, and it's full of love and compassion, she used to call it, oh shoot, I don't think I wrote it down. So if it becomes irresistible, I did write it down, then it becomes irresistible. So if we have that vessel, but it's not that vessel, so we've got all the things, we've built all the things to hold the vessel, but it's what's inside that's important. And what is inside needs to be love and learning and curiosity and compassion and care for one another and building a wonderful community together. Then it becomes irresistible, and we're kind of there. I ran across a video this week of Gabor Mate's. Does anybody know who he is? Yeah, quite a few of you. He is a doctor of Hungarian descent. He has written many, many books, many books, from attachment with children to mental health, to And he's a doctor he was a doctor on the downtown east side, working with folks that are living with HIV and other infectious diseases and addiction and houselessness. I really liked what he had to say about compassion, because that's what we're filling our vessel with, isn't it? Is compassion. He said that there are 5 components to compassion and that we need all 5 of them in order to be a truly compassionate person or community. He says that passion, and we all know this, passion means to suffer. And compassion means to suffer with. So in order to be truly compassionate, we have to feel the suffering with the persons, animal, or situation. He says this is something that we all have. We are hardwired for this. I don't know about you, but it hurts me when I see someone suffer, and it probably hurts you too. That is the first level of compassion. The second level of compassion he calls the compassion of curiosity. He says if there is someone is suffering, it's not enough to just feel bad for them. We also need to inquire about the suffering. What's going on? He uses the example of people being addicted. People feel bad for them, but never ask why. What is it about their situation, the systems, the barriers to inclusion, the collective societal loneliness, and so on and on? Rather than make assumptions that it's the fault with the person, that it is a fault with the person, he suggests that the compassion of curiosity brings up the why question. In social work, when I was a social worker and did my Bachelor of Social Work, we learned a term, the personal is political. And in seminary, it was expanded to the personal is political, and it is also pastoral. Mate's question of why brings the person from it's your fault to looking at the systems that produce such disparity. The third level he calls the compassion of recognition. He points out that there isn't anything in anyone else that isn't in me as well. We can easily see the differences between us, especially in some situations, can't we? Like when we're idled on a street and there's a meridian and there's somebody standing or sitting on that meridian coming to the windows looking for money. I don't know about you, but it makes me feel awkward. He says that if we really get honest with ourselves, there is an emptiness in all of us, and times when we can all say, there, but by grace I go. I really like his line, we're all just like the rest of us, as well as the differences are obvious, but it's the similarities that's what's interesting. Just looking at the differences is where we fall into that trap of judgment. I know I have certainly fallen into that trap many hundreds of times. He calls the fourth level the compassion of truth. Yes, if we see we can help or protect people from avoidable pain, we should certainly do that. However, sometimes we have to face the truth about grief or loss or something that's happened, and we're kind of afraid of experiencing it. We shy away from it. He uses the example of a professional not being compassionate by not asking the probing questions, the questions that will help the person unearth their pain, as it were, and then begin to process it. We don't ask questions just to bring up pain, of course, but to help someone explore the pain that they may be avoiding. Also, being truthful about our experiences about loss or illness so that others in similar situations may learn from it. Being compassionate may sometimes bring up pain. I would say this is something to be considered very wisely, though, and only in specific circumstances, and perhaps we need to leave it to the professionals. I don't know. His last one is the compassion of possibility. When we see a suffering being, that is to say, everyone, for we all suffer at times, Do you see only their suffering and their dysfunction, which he says is a response to the suffering? Do we only see their reactions or defenses, or are we able to see underneath all that to the possibility of their true self? Can we see the person in their beauty and in their perfection? He pointed out that it is very difficult to understand ourselves without the help of a mirror. He gave the example of someone living with addiction and dysfunction. If we only mirror back to them their dysfunction, their addiction, their troubles, that's all that they're going to be able to see of themselves too. But if we mirror back to them and to each other the beauty that is within them, their perfection, if we can see beyond the dysfunction, if we can see beyond the troubles, and mirror back to the person, the beauty and the perfection that they are, then maybe they can see that for themselves, because that's the only way to see something about ourselves. And we can see it in a new light. And then he suggests that because we mirror one another all the time, we have to do a lot of self-cleaning. We don't want that mirror to be all smudgy and murky. So you might ask, Reverend Rosemary, how do I go about this self-cleaning thing with the mirror thing? I sort of get it. One way, as we heard in our meditation, is by meditating. Rest, honest reflection, honest open conversation, spiritual practices like Buddhism and Hinduism or yoga, not the gym kind, but the mind and heart kind, all help us to polish our mirrors. So, the question I asked at the beginning, how can compassion and gratitude join forces to make the impossible possible? Well, here's what I came up with, and I invite you to think about it as you go home and talk about it after. How can compassion and gratitude join forces to make the impossible possible? Well, my thoughts. First, with compassion, we can decide we will forgive ourselves when we individually and collectively make mistakes, because we're gonna, so that it doesn't stop us from moving forward. Gratitude is also key. When people don't feel rewarded, even with a thank you, they're probably not going to continue getting creative and helping turn that wheel. There are some possibilities here on the horizon that I hope you'll be open to, things we can try, like joining with the Greater Edmonton Alliance for the Common Good, as well as other actions to make people's lives better and push the progressive agenda in our community. I would personally love to see us partner with a First Nations organization so that we can learn from them how we can live into reconciliation. I think that's a big piece of work that we can begin to think about. Maybe not this year, but maybe that's on the horizon for doing some really deep work around that. So I've given you a couple of ideas how to make the impossible possible. Not very many. I invite you to come up with them on your own and share them with each other. So many things, so many ideas. Let's keep the spark going. Let's put our personal spoke into the hub of the wheel and assist each other in keeping the great energy we've got, and we keep moving forward. So may it be. Amen. And one of the ways that we can do that is with love. Love will guide us. If we have love, that's about all we need. A few other things. But that's going to get it. That's going to be the most important ingredient. So number 131 in the Gray Hymn Book, love will guide us. The words are here. Yeah. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able.
I invite Beth to come up to extinguish our chalice while I read the words by Reverend Cameron Trimble, When the World Numbs. Spirit of breath, when the world numbs us, soften us. Melt the armor we've built around our own tenderness. Guard us not with distance, but with discernment. Help us feel deeply without drowning. Let us carry pain without being consumed by it. Let us keep loving without illusion. May our hearts of flesh remain responsive, vulnerable, and true.
I'd like to close with a Buddhist benediction that I learned a long time ago and completely forgot about it. I found it rummaging through things, and it is very brief, and it's blessings upon you, blessings upon me, blessings upon all of us. So may it be. Go in peace, gentle people. Go in peace. Before we sing Carry the Flame, we can't keep food here. There's some food here, and there's some food in those two boxes. Would anyone be willing to take it, put it all in their car, and take it directly to the food bank? Thank you, Jeff. All right, let's form a weird circle and hold hands if you want to, but you don't have to. And we'll sing our linking song.
I think we can chat amongst ourselves if we want to unmute ourselves. So feel